She's managed huge renovations, clearly talented, right? But somehow she's still scrapping for those, $15,000 room makeovers. Meanwhile, other designers, maybe even with less time under their belt, they're landing the big ones, the $200,000 plus full home projects.
In today's episode of the Interior Design Her podcast, we're discussing why some incredibly talented interior designers struggle to land the big budget residential design jobs while other designers scoop up all the luxury renovations and new builds after just a few years in business. Believe it or not, it's got almost nothing to do with your skills designing interiors. During this AI-voiced podcast episode, we'll explore why traditional marketing advice keeps you trapped in small projects and reveals the fractal math approach that lets specialists earn 40 to 60% more while working with fewer clients. If you're tired of losing luxury projects to designers with inferior portfolios, this conversation will transform your approach to positioning your expertise. So let's get to it.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through the sources, find the key insights you need fast. So today we're looking at a challenge. It's one a lot of really good, accomplished interior designers run into. Think about someone like, let's call her Sarah. 8 years in the game, amazing portfolio. She's managed huge renovations, clearly talented, right? But somehow she's still scrapping for those, $15,000 room makeovers. Meanwhile, other designers, maybe even with less time under their belt, they're landing the big ones, the $200,000 plus full home projects. It's got to be frustrating. Okay, let's unpack this.
It really is frustrating. And what's so striking about Sarah's situation, or designers like her, is that the problem usually isn't the design skill itself. Like you said, she's brilliant at what she does. The real issue, it comes down to positioning, how she's selling those skills she already has. So our mission in this deep dive is to show experienced designers how to use proven brand strategies. Strategies that let them move from those smaller gigs to really high-value renovation work, how to command premium prices, and, build a practice that actually creates long-term wealth. And it often comes down to something that feels a bit counterintuitive: specialization.
Right. Because the advice you often hear is, just do more marketing. Yeah. Or cast a wider net, But the sources we looked at really push back on that. They argue that approach often just leads to being super busy, but not actually, not profitable in the way you'd hope. You end up constantly chasing leads, often for smaller jobs, and it feels like a race to the bottom on price sometimes.
Exactly. The industry research, it consistently points the other way for higher revenue. It's not about serving more clients. It's about serving fewer clients, but at, dramatically higher levels of service and value. Think about this statistic across various professional services. Specialists consistently out-earn generalists. We're talking 40 to 60% more. And often, they're working fewer hours, too. So the goal isn't just to be busy. It's to become the go-to expert in a specific high-value niche.
Wow, 40 to 60%.
Yeah.
That's a massive difference. And that leads us to this idea the sources call fractal math for interior design revenue, which sounds complex, but is really a different way of thinking about growth. It contrasts with the traditional width approach. So let's use an example. Traditionally, maybe a designer goes from, say, 20 clients averaging $5,000 each in year one. That's $100,000. And by year 3, maybe they hustle and get 40 clients at that same $5,000 average. That's $200,000. But look at the effort, constant client acquisition, fighting on price.
Exactly. Now compare that to the fractal math depth approach. Imagine starting with just 10 clients, but at a higher average, say $10,000 in year 1. Still $100,000, right? But then, in year 2, you serve maybe only 8 clients, but the average project value jumps to $25,000. That's $200,000 already. And then, year 3, maybe you only need 5 clients, but they're doing major projects averaging $100,000. That's $500,000. The core idea here, what the sources highlight, is that roughly 10% of your clients will invest at a level 10 times higher if you offer them something more intimate, more valuable, more tailored.
Okay, so how does this actually play out in reality? Let's use this theoretical case study they mentioned, Jennifer in Westchester County. It really shows the progression. She starts her year, let's say, doing 50 initial design consultations, maybe $2,500 each, basic stuff. But then about 10% of those 5 clients, they upgrade. They go for full room designs at $15,000. Then, of those 5, another 10%, maybe 1 or 2 clients, they commit to whole floor renovations, say $75,000 projects. And finally, 10% of those, which works out to maybe 1 client every 18 months or so, hires her for the full Monty, a complete home gut renovation, $350,000 project value.
And the numbers, the revenue impact is just, it's striking. If Jennifer just stuck to the old model, doing 50 initial consults at $2,500, that's $125,000. Okay, not bad. But by applying this fractal math, guiding those same 50 initial contacts through this progression, the total revenue generated jumps to $700,000. It's the same starting point, the same initial client pool, but a vastly different financial outcome. It's fascinating how much potential is unlocked.
700,000 from the same base. That really drives the point home. So, okay, what are these clients really paying a premium for? It's clearly not just about picking nice fabrics, is it? The sources boil it down to this framework they call the SEXY framework. It's a catchy acronym, but the concepts are powerful. It stands for speed, execution, exposure, and intimacy. This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, let's break that down. First up is speed. Most designers quote standard timelines, 6 to 12 months, often longer with inevitable delays. Premium clients, they will absolutely pay a premium for accelerated timelines and, crucially, reduced friction, less hassle for them. This isn't about rushing sloppy work. It's about having things dialed in. Pre-negotiated contractor relationships, streamlined decision-making processes, express sourcing for materials. Take the example of Maria in Naples, Florida. She built exclusive ties with top contractors. She offers a premium timeline guarantee, major renovations done in 4-6 months, when the local average is more like 8-12. And that speed, that guarantee, adds a significant premium, maybe $25,000 to $50,000, right onto her project fees. Documenting and marketing those faster results is key.
Okay, so speed is one. Beyond just getting it done faster, what's the next layer? The sources talk about flawless execution. So most designers deliver the plans, right? And then the client often has to coordinate a lot of the implementation, deal with the contractor headaches. Premium clients, though, they want done for you. Total project management. That means complete oversight, managing all the contractors, handling quality control, solving problems before they even reach the client, right down to moving coordination.
Exactly. Think about David, the designer in Charleston specializing in historic homes. That's a complex niche. He positions himself as, quote, your advocate throughout the entire process, and his fee structure reflects that. He charges a, say, 15% project management fee on top of his design fees. And clients happily pay it because it removes enormous stress from their shoulders. They don't want to manage permits, schedules, arguments between trades. Of course, to offer that, David needed robust systems, clear communication protocols with contractors, rigorous quality checkpoints at every phase.
Makes sense. Then there's exposure. And this isn't just about passing along a trade discount, is it? It's about access. Access to things the client couldn't get themselves. Custom millwork, exclusive relationships with artisans, maybe unique furniture makers, access to those to the trade-only resources, tapping into your network of architects, landscape pros, art consultants. It's about curation at the highest level.
Precisely. Look at Rebecca working in the Hamptons, high-end market. She cultivated relationships, say, with European furniture makers, custom hardware people, artisans whose work isn't widely available. She offers an exclusive design access package. It leverages these unique sources. And that helps justify charging, say, $75,000 in design fees for a project where others might only get $35,000. It's not just having the connections, it's actively positioning that access as a core part of your unique value.
Okay. Speed, execution, exposure. The last one is intimacy. This sounds like it goes beyond just the project itself. It's about really embedding yourself in the client's lifestyle, understanding their family, their routines, their future plans. It becomes an ongoing relationship, right? Personal accessibility, maybe even thinking about the family legacy in the design, being their lifelong design advisor.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Thomas, the designer in Scottsdale, he built a design for life service model. He doesn't just finish a project and vanish, he stays connected. Annual design reviews, maybe seasonal updates, help with art acquisition over time, and the result. His average client relationship generates something like $150,000 over 5 years. Compare that to maybe $40,000 for a single one-off project. It highlights the immense value in becoming that long-term trusted partner, not just a vendor for one job.
Wow. That SCXY framework speed, execution, exposure, intimacy really clarifies what drives premium value. But, there's still this hurdle. For designers like Sarah, who have the skills but aren't getting the big projects, the sources call it Sheehan's wall, that invisible barrier between being relatively unknown or being truly well-known, sought after, and trying to be the full-service interior designer for everyone. Well, this makes you part of the background noise, doesn't it? Like shouting in a crowded room.
It really does.
Right.
And the way through that wall, the way to break through is laser-focused specialization. It means consciously deciding to become the designer for a very specific type of client or a very specific type of project. That's how you start commanding higher prices. That's how you get stronger referrals because people know exactly who to send your way. You develop deeper, more relevant skills. And frankly, you face a lot less direct competition from the generalists. It feels risky, narrowing your focus, but all the evidence points to it amplifying your opportunities, not limiting them.
And they take it a step further with blended specialization, right? Combining different factors for even sharper focus, like mixing geography plus demographic plus style. An example might be whole gut transitional design renovations for tech entrepreneurs in Seattle. Very specific. Or maybe project type plus client type plus price point, something like high-end kitchen renovations for serious home cooks with budgets over $150,000.
Yes. That multi-layer approach, it practically eliminates direct competition. Who else does exactly that? It inherently justifies premium pricing because your expertise is so incredibly niche and deep, and it creates super powerful referral language. Your clients and partners can describe precisely what you do and who you do it for. Plus, your own expertise compounds much faster because you're solving similar high-level problems repeatedly.
Let's look at that Lisa case study again. She was a successful generalist, averaging $35K rep per project. Pretty good. But she looked back and saw her best, most fulfilling work was these whole home renovations for young families, specifically in historic houses. So she pivoted. She rebranded as the Historic Home Family Specialist. She dove deep into historic preservation, connected with specialized craftspeople, really studied how modern families live in older homes.
And the results. After about 18 months, Lisa's average project value jumped from $35,000 to $85,000. The increase she got were way more qualified from the start. People knew what she did. Her referral rate shot up from maybe 40% to 75% of her business. She even ended up with a wait list. It's a perfect example. Specialization didn't shrink her world. It amplified her best opportunities by making her the undeniable choice for her ideal client.
That's a great story. But okay, even with specialization, many experienced designers still undersell themselves, right? They don't effectively communicate that deep expertise. The sources talk about this principle, save the best for first, which sounds backward, but it means sharing your most valuable insights freely, upfront, to build trust. It's different from typical marketing that just gives surface-level tips.
Exactly. We're talking about creating authority-building content. This means detailed project breakdowns show the before, the during challenges, the after transformation, and the solutions you came up with. It means educational content about the complexities of, say, large renovations. Maybe a piece titled, Why Your Kitchen Renovation Really Takes 4 Months, a week-by-week look. Or problem-solution documentation, like a case study titled, How We Saved This Renovation $50,000 by Catching Design Conflicts Pre-Construction. Patricia, that designer in Austin they mentioned, saw her average project scope increase and got better referrals just by implementing this kind of transparent educational content. It builds confidence.
And that confidence ties right into pricing strategy. Because if you're showing that level of value, you shouldn't be pricing based on old models. The sources point out common mistakes. Pricing by the hour, which casts your earnings. Pricing based on what the market bears, which leads to price wars. Or cost plus, which it doesn't always align incentives.
Is right. The shift needs to be towards value-based pricing. This could be outcome-based pricing, charging for the end result, the transformation, the increased home value, not just your hours. It could involve risk mitigation pricing based on the costly mistakes and delays you help clients avoid, or even relationship-based pricing, like those ongoing retainers. Take Michael, the designer in Denver. He shifted from charging, say, $16,000 based on estimated hours for a kitchen renovation to a $45,000 value-based package, and he justified it clearly. This process saves you 6 months of agonizing decisions, prevents an average of $25,000 in common mistakes, and typically adds $75,000 to your home's value. It forces you to ask, are you charging for your time or for the tangible, valuable transformation you deliver?
That question time versus transformation is huge. It's a fundamental shift. And to systematically guide clients towards those bigger transformational projects, you need what the sources call a client progression strategy. It's about structuring your services so moving to the next bigger phase feels like the natural, logical next step for the client, not some kind of hard upsell.
Yeah, it typically unfolds in stages. Stage 1 might be an assessment and strategy phase. This could be priced somewhere between, say, $2,500 and $7,500 and involves a deep dive, comprehensive home assessment, lifestyle evaluation, maybe outlining a multi-year renovation sequence, initial budget guidance. The goal here is low commitment for the client, but high value, establishing your expertise and building trust right away. Then comes stage 2, phase 1 implementation. This might range from $15,000 to $50,000 in design fees. Here, you're doing the detailed design work for maybe the highest priority area, kitchen, main floor, whatever came out of stage 1. You handle material specs, maybe coordinate initial contractor bids. The purpose now is to demonstrate your project management skills, your design chops in action, building their confidence for potentially bigger things. And that leads naturally to stage 3, comprehensive renovation. This is the big one. We're talking $75,000 to $300,000 plus in design fees potentially. This covers whole home design, full service project management from start to finish, coordinating custom elements, handling all the logistics, right down to move-in day. The goal here is delivering that truly transformational outcome, the kind that generates amazing testimonials and high-quality referrals.
The Jennifer and the Thompson family example illustrates this perfectly. Year 1, they start with that $5,000 assessment and strategy phase. It lays out a clear long-term plan. Year 2, based on that plan, they do the kitchen family room renovation, Jennifer's design fee, $45,000. They see her value in action. Year 3. Because that went so well, they commit to the full whole home renovation. Her fee is $125,000. The total project investment was $850,000, but it increased their home value by a reported $1.2 million. See how it flows. Each step builds on the last. That's the progression strategy. Okay, but even with a great strategy, designers will inevitably face pushback on those premium fees. Objections come up. You probably heard them. Your fee seems high compared to others, or we just can't afford that much for design. What stands out to you about handling those?
Yeah, handling objections confidently is key. And it's less about defending your price and more about reframing the value and the risk. So if someone says your fee seems high, a stronger response focuses on prevention. You could say something like, industry stats show the average renovation goes 30% over budget and takes 40% longer than planned. My comprehensive process is designed specifically to prevent that. Clients typically find that by avoiding, say, $45,000 in common mistakes and finishing 3 months sooner, my fee actually represents incredible value and saves them money and stress overall. It shifts the focus to their potential losses without you. If the objection is, we can't afford that much for design, reframe it against their total investment. Ask, what's your total anticipated budget for the renovation itself? If they say $200,000, you can respond, okay, so my design fee represents about 15% of that total investment. Doesn't it make sense to allocate that portion to ensure the other 85%, the $170,000, is spent wisely, looks amazing, functions perfectly, and avoids costly redos down the line? It positions your fee as protecting their larger investment. And that other common one, why pay for project management? Isn't that the contractor's job? Here you clarify the distinct roles. Yes, the contractor manages the trades and the construction schedule. That's crucial. Oh, my role as your designer and project manager is different. I manage your overall vision, your budget, and your long-term satisfaction with the outcome. I'm your advocate, ensuring every decision aligns with your goals and resolving issues before they compromise the design or budget.
Those are really clear, value-driven responses. Powerful reframes. But okay, to actually deliver on these promises, the speed, the execution, you need the right operational backbone, right? The team and the systems have to be there.
Absolutely. You can't promise premium execution and speed if you're trying to do everything yourself. It's just not scalable. A dedicated project manager or assistant is often the first key hire. Someone with renovation experience, great communication skills, comfortable with tech. They handle the day-to-day, freeing you up for the high-level design and client relationship work. A procurement specialist becomes vital too, especially as projects get bigger. They manage all the ordering, tracking, vendor relationships, quality control on deliveries, crucial for delivering on that exposure value prop. And building a network of trusted contractors is essential. Not just any contractor, but ones who understand your standards and processes. Then you need the systems. Robust project management software, ideally with a client portal for transparency, clear quality control processes, checklists, site visit protocols, and define client communication protocols, maybe weekly email updates, proactive notifications about milestones or potential issues.
And just like operations need to shift, the marketing needs to shift too, doesn't it? Moving away from casting a wide net towards really targeted relationship building, attracting clients who are already thinking about those significant renovation investments.
Exactly. It starts with refining your target audience definition. Get super specific. Maybe it's successful professionals, household income over $300, primary home value over $750K, planning a $200K plus renovation in the next 18 months, and motivated by quality and experience, not just the lowest price. Then focus on developing your referral network. Build real relationships with luxury real estate agents, architects, wealth advisors, people who serve your ideal client before they think about design. Use that authority building content we talked about, detailed case studies, educational blog posts, maybe seminars that speaks directly to the pain points and aspirations expectations of that specific audience. Think about Susan, the designer in Bethesda. Her old marketing general Instagram, Facebook ads got lots of leads, but few were qualified. Her new approach: monthly meetings with top real estate agents, hosting seminars for homeowners planning major renos, writing in-depth blog posts about complex project challenges. The result: her total inquiries dropped by 60%, sure, but her average project value increased by 200% in just 12 months, and 80% of her business came from referrals, quality over quantity.
That 200% increase is staggering. It really shows the power of focused marketing. But making this whole shift, specializing, building systems, targeted marketing, it takes time and investment. How should designers plan for the financial side of this transition?
That's where revenue bridge planning comes in. You need a financial plan to bridge the gap while you transition. It acknowledges this isn't an overnight switch. You might need to keep some smaller bread and butter projects going for a while to maintain cash flow. It's about consciously building financial reserves so you can invest in the things needed for higher value work, better photography, software, maybe that first key hire. It's about seeing these as strategic investments in your business's future capacity, not just expenses.
Let's look at Robert's financial transition in San Francisco, a great example. He started with a $25,000 average project value, doing about $350K a year. Good business, but high volume. Year one, he invested about $22,000 in professional photography and project management software. Year two, another $35,000 went into hiring a part-time PM and cultivating relationships with architects. Year three, he invested $50,000 to bring his PM full-time and launch targeted marketing campaigns. The result: after 3 years, his average project value jumped to $125,000. His annual revenue hit $750,000, but from only 6 projects instead of 14. So $127,000 total investment over 3 years led to a $400,000 increase in annual revenue. That's a phenomenal return on strategic investment.
It really is. Robert's story shows it's a deliberate, phased investment process, but the payoff can be massive when you align everything toward serving those high-value clients effectively.
So throughout this transition, and even once you're established at that higher level, measurement is key, right?
Yep.
Tracking progress, keeping an eye on those key performance indicators, KPIs, like average project value, definitely, but also client satisfaction scores, project completion times against targets, even brand recognition or the quality of inquiries.
Absolutely. And using tools like quarterly business reviews to analyze those KPIs, see what's working, what's not, and annual strategic planning to set the course for the next year based on that data. It's about continuous improvement.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the core message from this deep dive seems clear. For experienced designers wanting to move into high-value work, it's not really about learning new design skills. You likely already have those. It's about fundamentally changing how you position and sell the expertise you already possess.
Precisely. The 5 key takeaways we've covered are: 1. Specialization wins. Become the go-to expert for a specific niche. 2. Go deep, not wide. Serve fewer clients at much higher value using that fractal math idea. 3. Price based on the value and transformation you deliver, not just your time. 4. Build authority with content that genuinely educates and demonstrates your expertise. And 5. Use a systematic client progression strategy to naturally guide clients toward larger projects.
So for you listening, the concrete next steps are there. Define that specialization. Really document your deep expertise. Develop those premium service packages using frameworks like SEXY. Build the team and systems you need to deliver flawlessly. And then measure, refine, repeat.
The opportunity is definitely there. The framework makes sense. Your expertise, honed over years, deserves to be compensated at a premium level. So maybe the real question is, are you ready to commit to implementing these kinds of strategies over the next, say, 12 to 18 months?
You've got the talent. You've got the experience. This deep dive is hopefully giving you the roadmap to position yourself to finally get paid what you're truly worth. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Really start envisioning what that transformation could look like for your business, for your life. The potential is right there.
That wraps up this episode of the Interior Design Her podcast. If you're ready to put this framework to work in your business, I would love to hear from you and maybe even get you on the podcast to share your experience with other designers. We've got big dreams for Interior Design Her, and we would love to have you along for the ride. In the meantime, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, rate, and review our little podcast. It really helps us get discovered by new listeners. Next week, we'll be back with another great podcast. See you then.